What's up, friends? It's James. Welcome back for another power yoga class. With this class, we take 60 minutes and we focus on our strength, our flexibility, our balance, and our mindfulness. We take things slow and we get in really deep. So I want to start us out today from a cross-legged position coming back into child's pose. So once you find your cross-legged position, your tabletop, just walk your knees out wide to the edges of your mats. Bring your big toes together, tops of the feet are to the ground, and then lower your sit bones back towards your heels and just bring your forehead all the way down to the ground with your arms out in front of you. Awesome. Take a big exhale all the way down to empty. And then breathe into your low belly and your low back. Take your air to your mid-abdomen and your mid-back. Breathe all the way to your chest, all the way to your shoulders. So biggest breath you've taken today, hold on to it, relax. And then just take a slow exhale out the top, all the way down through the middle. And at the bottom, squeeze all the way down to empty. Awesome. From the bottom of the breath, again, breathe in low belly, low back, mid-abdomen to mid-back. Take your air all the way to your chest, all the way to your shoulders. Once you've got the full breath, hold on to it and relax. And then if you want, sip in a little more air to top it up. And then exhale for 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start Ujjayi breathing. Inhale through the nose, slow and deep like you're sipping the air in through a straw from the bottom all the way to the top. And then exhale back out your nose as if you're fogging up a mirror, slowly releasing down to empty. Use those muscles in the back of the throat to control how you're pulling the air in and to slowly release the air back out. So you'll hear this sound of ocean waves. You'll hear this sound of hollow wind as you engage this breathing technique. Anytime you are engaging your breath, actively working with your breath, you are practicing mindfulness. You are working meditation. You're bringing your mind into what's happening right here and right now in your body. So let the rest of the worries, anxieties, the fixes, the cares, all of that, let it relax out to the edges for a little bit. If there is a true emergency you need to get to, you will get to it, you will handle it. But other than that, there's a lot of stuff that pops up that you can let go of and relax, and you can just keep bringing yourself back into that breath. Awesome, friends. Take the last couple rounds of breath in child's pose. If you want, walk your fingertips forward so your forehead lifts off the ground, your elbows are off the ground, and just give a press into your fingertips or maybe into your full palm, pressing your sit bones closer back towards your heels. Get all the way down to the end of the breath that you're on, and then we'll rise up into a tabletop position. Awesome. Turn the insides of your wrists forward. Your thumbs will point to the sides and your fingers will point backwards. And then you'll feel a stretch along the circle of the palm, the wrists, and your forearms. Slowly rock back in space. Peel your fingers off the mat to your fingertips, the hands off your mat to your fingertips, and then slowly rock back forwards until your palm lands back down. We'll do this a couple times, rolling your hands out, leaning back, peeling the hands off the ground back to your fingertips. And then slowly going back forward, staying with the breath the whole time. Last time. Give the back of the hands a little press down into the ground. You can do side-to-side movements or little circles or back and forth movements. And then just take the sit bones back towards your heels into hero's pose and give a roll out through your wrists. Move into your fingers, move out through your wrists and your hands. Nice. Come into that tabletop and we'll start to work into some cat and cow. So on an inhale, drop your belly, lift your chest, tilt your tailbone up into cow. And as you exhale, round your back into cat, dropping the head, mid-back high, tailbone drops down. Take this over at your own pace. And feel free to, hold it longer if you like, or to start to let your hips or shoulders shift side to side or rock a little back and forth. And as you add some more movement into it, just let your breath lead the way. So as we do that slow, controlled breathing, and then we link our movement to the breath, we get slow, controlled movement. Excellent, friends. Start to work yourself all the way down to the ground, so your belly down to the ground. Have your chin rest to the floor, tops of the feet to the ground. And then for Bhujangasana Low Cobra, you'll take the palms and you'll start to press them to the ground, framing your chest. Slide them a little lower so they're right into the high mid ribs. And then start to squeeze the shoulder blades together on your back so your elbows come towards one another. The tips of your elbows come together. And as you feel the shoulder blades engage, then you're going to start to lift your chest up off the ground, staying rooted through your feet. Stay with that breathing. Rather than straining your chin to look forward and up, I want you to tuck your chin slightly in towards your throat. Create that length through the back of your neck. And there's little to no pressure in the hands here. In fact, start to float your hands just off of the ground, but keep that lift up through your chest. So low cobra, engaging those snake muscles in the body, those core muscles, back muscles. Staying with that breathing. And take one more inhale right here. And on the exhale, lower down, tuck your toes, and press up to the top of a plank position, and then shift your body back into down dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. So the distance of your feet to your hands from plank to down dog is very similar. Down dog, you might come in a little closer. If you haven't begun to yet, let's just slowly walk out through the down dog. Press the weight into one heel at a time as you bend through the opposite knee. Your hands are just right at about shoulder's distance, maybe slightly wider. And then you're spreading out into your hands. You're into the circle of your palm, gripping to the ground through your fingers. The head is relaxed, so your gaze is back behind you. Awesome. And then just focus on lifting your hips up. So stop reaching down through the heels one at a time. Maybe bend both of your knees a little bit deeper. And then stretch your hips up as high as they go. At the same time, imagine you've got tennis balls between your ears and your biceps that you're holding into place. You're pinning into place. So those biceps are toning in towards center line. So you've lengthened your spine. You've strengthened your arms. Now start to let your heels pull down towards the ground back behind you in space. So feel that length coming down through the back of the legs. Your breath is with you the whole time. So if you've lost the breath, come back into it. You're doing great, friends. And then on an inhale, let's take the right leg back up, three-legged down dog, like you're pressing your heel to the wall back behind you. Front of your right hip bone is pointing down and back. Rather than sinking into your left hip, you're pressing down into that left foot and pressing back through your right heel, lifting out of it. Next, exhale, bring the foot all the way up between your hands, find a low lunge position. We're going to lower the left knee to the ground for a kneeling lunge. Feel free to fold the side of the mat in if you want. Keep your back toes tucked, walk your right foot forward just a little bit, and then press your hands into your right thigh to lift up through your chest. Start to let your thighs squeeze in towards center line as you press strong to your legs, and then with that base in your legs, lift your arms up, your gaze is forward. Think about pulling the biceps back to frame the ears. You've got your arms plugged into the shoulder sockets. You're not lifting your shoulder heads high. They're relaxed down. And then pinkies forward, thumbs back. We could start to tilt the gaze up a little bit more, take the chest up a little bit higher. Excellent, friends. There should feel a nice stretch in the legs as you're toning into center line. You've got the front knee right over your front heel, but we've got that stretch going down through you should feel it through the back quadricep and in your hips. Now breathe in, and on an exhale, we're going to flying lunge. So your back toes are tucked. Bring your back knee off the ground, and then fly your arms back. So there's some similarity here between the low cobra that we did, where you've got those shoulder blades toning in towards center line. You're flying in space and you're shooting back out of your fingertips. And you've got the length all the way through the back of the neck. Press down into that front foot. Tone your thighs in towards center line. You're doing fantastic. Stay with your breathing. Nice deep inhales, nice long exhales. Now on an inhale, we're going to take this into our high crescent lunge. So very similar to what you did in that kneeling lunge, But now we've got the back knee off the ground. You're on the ball of the left foot. Your left heel is pulling forward in space. You've already got the setup for your arms. We did that in kneeling lunge. We're just coming back into it. You're strong in that front leg. You're strong through that right glute, pulling up away from your knee. And then we are feeling those thighs toning towards center line, stabilizing. Nice work. Beautiful breathing. Fired up through those legs, staying with your breath. Take a deep inhale here and then flying chair on an exhale. So now you're going to reach your arms back, left foot steps up to meet your right. Lift your heels slightly off the ground. You're in the balls of your feet. You could have your feet at hip bone distance, or you can have your big toes, ankle bones, knees, and thighs all pressed to center line. Rather than dropping your head or chest down, we've got the shoulder blades toning in, chest is shining forward. You've still got the length through the back of your neck, but you are gazing right forward in space. Beautiful breathing, friends. Using that breath to stay connected. Breathe into that heat we're building in our legs. Almost there. Excellent. So as you take this last round of breath, we'll lower the right heel to the floor and then inhale arms and left knee up into one-legged mountain. Left knee is bent at 90. The thigh bone is plugged back into your hips and arms are extended up in space. Root down into that big right toe, feel it pressing to the ground. And then today for our one-legged balance, we're just gonna take that left foot and bring it into tree pose. So left foot comes to the inside of your thigh above your knee, or you can bring it below your knee to the inside of your calf. And once you've figured out the placement of your foot, I want you to bring your hands together into your heart center, press the palms and the fingers together, and we're doing the foot and the leg are doing the same thing. They're pressing into one another, stabilizing you at center. Awesome. And the heart center, when we say that in yoga, just right around the sternum area. That's just a reference to the chakra system. Focus your gaze on an object that's not moving, and then use that breathing. You want to feel like you've still got that beautiful posture going on through your spine, even on one leg. If you'd like, grow those branches tall, so reach your arms up nice and tall in space. You can interlace your pointer fingers at your steeple if you want. Extend up. Like your high and low lunge, you're pulling the biceps back to frame your ears and then plugging the arms into the shoulder sockets. Reaching out through those fingertips. You can even feel your right knee opening out a little bit to the side, your left knee rather, opening to the side. So you're feeling those hips open up in space. Okay, awesome. On an inhale, reach that left leg back up tall, big breath in. And then on your exhale, we're going all the way back and we're finding that flying lunge that we hit earlier in class. So plant the ball of the left foot back behind you in space. Fly those arms back. Nice work. And then we're going to leave this and open to warrior two. So spin the knife edge of your left foot to the ground. Left arm reaches back, right arm is forward. You can open your stance up a little bit in space. Right sit bone is tucked underneath your body. You're pressing forward through that right knee. It's right over your heel. Get strong in that right leg. Feel your glute pulling up and back. Barrel down through that left leg. Get down into the back knife edge of that left foot and then tone the thighs in. Spine is straight up in space. Arms reaching from the front of the room to the back, and then roll your shoulder heads out away from the ears and the back. So feel a slight tone of those shoulder blades back behind you. Gaze is out across those front fingertips. And riding those waves of breath. You got it, yogis. Okay, beautiful. So our next move is going to be Ardha Chandrasana half moon. I know we're just diving right into it today. So you can take a block on level 1, 2, or 3, and you would basically place it out in front of you by a few inches. You can also just use your right fingertips. You don't need to use a block or your fist or your palm. But, you know, blocks out maybe 6 to 8 inches in front of you. And then you'll lift off your back right leg. You're pressing your right hand into the block or into the ground. And then we're opening the left arm straight up to the sky, so your wingspan is open. And you can feel that that left foot is pressing back into the wall behind you. You're pointing your left toes over to the left. And you've stacked the left hip over the right hip. Sometimes bringing that top left hand to your hip and kind of guiding it in place can help out as well. If you fall out of it, no worries. This is just a beautiful game to play with the body. And again, we're here to breathe, whether you're in child's pose at rest or whether you're in this one-legged balance. Okay, breathe into it, and on that exhale, you're coming back to your warrior 2. Take your left hand to your hip or tuck it behind you and reverse your warrior. Right arm's up in space. You're pressing into your lunge and then bend your elbow slightly. And your gaze can come up like mine just did with your head falling slightly back, or your gaze could go to the side or back down to your left foot. Stay deep into your lunge. Open big through that right side body. Keep toning in through it and find your breathing. So in yoga, in Sanskrit, we have this word, your drishti, which is your gaze. And it's a really cool thing to think about, that you are consciously placing your gaze somewhere in space while you're working with that breath. And a lot of times you'll get directions, from your yoga teacher or from me on where you want your gaze to be. And part of that helps with the alignment of what's going on with this pose. So in this case, your drishti, your gaze, for me, is kind of shooting up and out in space. And that's opening up through my body here. I can feel the knife edge of my right side body pointing forward in space. All right, so breathe into it, and on an exhale, cartwheel down to your low lunge position, and then step back into your plank pose. And we'll do Vashisthasana side plank. Right hand is your base. Come onto the outside edge of your right foot. Stack your left foot over your right. Tone through that inner right side body. Pull the hips away from the ground. Left arm is reaching up like you were doing in half moon. You could also do your left hand to your hip. You can also do a little kickstand here, right knee to the ground, toes out to the side. Stay with that breath, guys. You're doing awesome. So your gaze maybe to the left or maybe even slightly up in space, helping to open that left shoulder back. Next exhale, turn back down into your plank. You can go right to down dog or lower halfway down to chaturanga. So we're just leaning forward with the sternum, lowering to elbow height. And then up dog, go to the tops of your feet and hover the weight of your body on the tops of the feet and the hands. You want those shoulder heads rolled out, opening through your chest here. And then at any point that you're ready, tuck your toes, lift your way back up into our down dog. Awesome, friends. So feel that stretch through the back of your legs. Feel that press into your hands. Relax your head. Tone your biceps in. We got the hips pulling up and back. We got those heels drawing down. I want you to give it a couple more rounds of breath here. You're doing great. Stay engaged. And then on an inhale, take your left leg up and back to that three-legged downward facing dog. Think about you're pressing your heel up and back to the wall back behind you. Front of your left hip bone is pointing down and back as that leg lifts high. Nice diagonal lines from your hands all the way back up through it. And again, not sinking into the right hip, pressing into the right foot to press back through your left heel strong. Next exhale, work the foot up between your hands. Find that low lunge. Once it's there, lower the back right knee to the ground. You can fold this side of the mat in if you want to make some more cushioning for it. And then we're going to bring our hands up onto that left thigh. Keep those right toes tucked back behind you. We're going to use it in space a little bit. You could walk your left foot forward slightly. And then we're pressing down to lift up through the chest. And we're starting to tone those thighs in towards center line right here. When you feel it stabilized, reach your arms up nice and tall. So your hips are coming slightly forward and down into this pose, but then you're lifting up through your chest and letting those legs pull in. Find that positioning with your arms, pinkies forward, thumbs back. You've got the arms plugged into the shoulder sockets. Biceps pulling back to frame your ears. Fantastic. Gaze can lift up slightly in space. Nice, friends. So breathe into this, and then on an exhale, our flying lunge, where you lift your back right knee off the ground. You're shooting back out through those fingertips. Your gaze is in front of you, but there's length through the back of your neck. You're just shooting right out of those fingertips. Nice work. And focus on your breathing as it starts to, you feel the intensity in your legs. You feel that heat we're building up. So breathe into it. On that exhale, slowly release down to empty. And then high crescent lunge on your inhale. So bring your arms forward and up in space. Let the hips drop into it. Feel those thighs toning in. You've got that set up with your arms we've already talked about. And then as you're strengthening around that left knee, you're strong through your left leg. Feel your left glute toning back and up in space, holding back and up and in. Beautiful breathing. Nice, so breathe into it, and on that exhale, we're gonna find our flying chair. So step your right foot up to meet your left, and then you'll lift the heels just slightly up off the floor as you extend your fingertips back in space. Again, feet at hip bone distance, like I've got going on, or you could bring big toes, ankle bones, knees, and thighs to all press together at center. We've got the elbows slightly bending and lifting up and back, shoulder blades toning in. There's still that shoot out of your fingertips like our flying lunge. Beautiful breathing. Supporting that weight, we're pouring down into the knees. It's feeling the strength of the legs, the glutes right into the core. Using that Ujjayi breathing. Cool, so lower your left heel to the ground. Inhale, arms and right knee all the way up into that one-legged mountain. Extending tall through your fingertips. Right knee is bent at 90, thigh bones plugged back in towards center line. And as you're lifting that right knee up in space, again, focus your gaze on an object that's not moving. You can feel your big left toe gripping to the ground. And then we're just taking this to tree pose. So grab that right foot, bring it inside of your thigh, above your knee, or inside of your calf below your knee. We'll start with the hands together at heart center, gently pressing in towards one another, holding each other. Same thing with your foot and leg, pressing in and holding. Let your shoulder heads release down. Feel the hips opening up, so you've got that left knee pointed out to the side, or rather that right knee pointed out to the side. Cool, if you want to, inhale your arms wide and tall. extend up. We can make that lock, so interlace your pointer fingers at your steeple, extend up in space. And just like you were doing with the high, low lunge with your arms, pulling the biceps back, relaxing the shoulder heads, plugging the arms into the sockets, and then reaching through the fingertips. Nice. Take those last couple rounds of breath. And it's just that rooting to grow tall. Finding that height from your stability. I love it. Okay, so from here, we're going to inhale the right knee back up in space, and on your exhale, you're returning back to your flying lunge. Once you've got that, start to let the thighs tone back to center line. You're on the ball of the foot, and we're leaving this to our warrior two. So knife edge of the right foot down to the ground, right arm back, left arm forward. You can totally lengthen your stance out from the front of the mat to the back, bringing that left thigh more parallel to the ground. And what's nice with warrior two is you totally are getting a really nice stretch through the hips. It's designed that way. But we're in a lunge, so we really need to focus on the stability we're providing around that. So pressing strong through the back leg. In your front leg, feel that connection down to the floor. You're into your heel. You're gripping through your foot. Feel your legs strengthening around your knee. Feel your left glute engaged, pulling back up and away. Thighs are toning in, and then spine straight up in space, and your arms are open, and your drishti, your gaze is forward out across those fingertips. That's the way you just ride out those waves of breath. So our next move is going to be that half moon. And if you've got a block, you can locate it. You can take it on level 1, 2, or 3 for your left hand. And then it's just going a few inches in front of your left foot down to the ground, or your fingertips, fist, or your palm. Nice. So you're going to stand up on your left leg. You're lifting your right leg back up behind you. And we start to open through the right side body. So you're extending your right arm straight up in space. You're pressing your heel to the wall back behind you, and you are pointing your right toes over to the right side of the room. Spine is a crossbar, and it's from the crown of the head all the way back through that right heel. And then as your left foot is rooted to the ground, you've got that right arm lifting up, and then left hand pressing down. Keep coming back to it, right? If you fall out of it, just keep trying. Nice. Take a deep inhale into it. And on your exhale, we're going back to warrior two, but then you can take the right hand to your hip or behind you in space, reach your left arm up and find that reverse warrior. So you can bend your elbow slightly, take your gaze up, your head can fall slightly back. And it's feeling the press into that lunge, the depth of the lunge, and then opening through that left side body from your hip crease all the way up through your arm. Take that inhale into your reverse warrior. And on your exhale, just cartwheel your hands down to a low lunge. Step back to your plank. And then from here, we've got side plank. This time, the left hand is your base. Onto the outside edge of your left foot. Stack your left foot over your right. And then find that reach all the way up through your right fingertips. Just like you were doing in that half moon not too long ago. Or right hand to your hip. Left knee could also be to the ground as a kickstand with the toes out to the side. And again, your gaze can be somewhere along the right wall, or you could turn it slightly up, helping to open that shoulder up and back. Watch that you're not sinking into your left shoulder here. You're lifting away, pressing to the ground, nice and strong, nice and active. Nice, breathe into it. And on your exhale, turn to your plank, go right to down dog, or we're going to lower halfway down, leading forward with the sternum. Find Chaturanga Dandasana. Press to the tops of the feet. Inhale, up dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And then meet up in down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Excellent, friends. Take a deep breath into that down dog. Fill all the way up. And on your exhale, sigh out the mouth. Again, inhale, fill up. Exhale, sigh out. Lower knees down to the ground. You're going to bring the legs forward in space. And then just bring the weight all the way down onto your back. Gather your knees into your chest. Wrap your arms around your knees and give yourself a little rock side to side. Just want a little massage out here for the hips, for the low back. And then we'll do a series of poses that is going to target your core muscles. And the first one of these, you're lifting your legs straight up in space. Grab your hamstrings, pull against your hamstrings, and then you've got your low back to the ground, but mid and upper back are off the ground. From here, reach your arms straight up in space. Gaze is forward. Feel that flexion through the core. If your neck needs support, take one finger back behind the base of the skull and add a little bit of support for the head. Nice breathing. For the next one, press the hands together, plug those arms back into towards the shoulders, and then lower your legs to a diagonal. And again, you can do hands behind your head as well here for even more support for the neck. That works as well. Have the low back pressed and rooted to the ground. We'll get that core shake going on. You're using your breath right through it. Last round of breath. Bring the knees in, grab your hamstrings, then lift up to your sit bones. Okay, this is Navasana boat pose. I want you to start to lengthen the spine up and back. Really nice posture. Plug those shoulder blades gently in towards one another, and then open your arms away from your legs. Stay right here or lift your feet up, bring the feet together, and extend through the legs. Use that breathing. Last 2 rounds of breath. Stay with it. You got it. Perfect. Lower your feet to the ground. And then just bring the bottoms of your feet together. Make a diamond shape with your legs. This is Baddha Konasana, cobbler's pose, bound angle pose. You'll grab, you kind of pull the flesh away from your sit bones so you get to the front edge of your sit bones. And then just grab onto your ankles and lift up nice and tall. So we got this really nice length through the spine. Breathe into it. And on your exhale, hinge forward and dive. Gaze goes down, crown of the head reaches forward. Your hands could remain to your ankles, or at this point you could wrap your hands around your toes, your feet, or to the ground. I'd like to let my elbows give a gentle rest to the insides of the calves here. And then over the course of breathing, I'll start to give a little press down to the legs, helping to open through the hips. Inside of this cobbler's pose, we're getting a really nice stretch through the spine. And a really big opening through the hips. And in this stretch, you want to feel when the inhale comes in, it creates this space. It opens up. Imagine like blowing the air into a balloon. And on the exhale, as it releases out, your body gets to let go, and it gets to let go into the shape that you're in. So it's helping you with that stretch. Nice. We're on those last couple rounds of breath, friends. And then from the end of your breath, you can start to lift back up in space. We'll come forward back into our tabletop, and we're going to go into some dolphin and into some one-legged dolphin. So we're working with the shape on your forearms of a number 11. So your forearms are going to be on parallel, and you're using the bellies of your forearms and the circle of your palms and your fingers. So as you come into this, you can drop the elbows down, check that everything's at shoulder distance, spread out into the palm, grip into your fingers, and then tuck your toes and lift your hips off the ground. Start to walk your toes in towards you, and then reach your sternum back up towards your thighs. There's a lot of shoulder strength in this dolphin too. Those shoulders pressing and helping to push the sternum back up towards the thighs. Okay, so right leg pulls back up in space, three-legged dolphin, extending out through your right heel. Now you can stay right here if you want to practice some dolphin hop lifts. You can just take a little bend into your left leg, and then it's a little press off the ground, and your core muscles are catching you and slowly lowering you back down. Cool. Right foot comes down, friends. Inhale, left leg reaches up, press through the heel. Again, great place to stay, nice and engaged. If you find yourself sinking, recommit. And then we can take those little hops. And again, it's your core muscles catching and lifting you. More than likely, some of your elbows are going out a little bit wide. So keep hugging those elbows in. Left leg comes down. Last couple rounds of breath. So your arms will want to leave a parallel and make a triangle. And you're trying to keep them at parallel. Perfect. Knees come down to the ground. And then we're going to move this into Sphinx Pose. Nice work. As I'm like out of breath. So in our Sphinx Pose, guys, you're going to take your legs to the back of your mat. Your hips comfortably pressed to the ground. And then you take the elbows to the earth. And as you press into the earth through your elbows, lift up through your chest and find that length through the back of your neck. So a really great stretch for your back. And then after working through the core muscles, a really nice stretch for the core muscles here. Take your gaze and just twist across your left shoulder. Nice breathing. Take the gaze across the right shoulder. Let the weight of the head relax down. Make a little cat in your upper spine, lifting up through those shoulders. Chin might move a little side to side. And just relax your head down to the ground, like you're laying out at the beach, so your chin could go into your hands. Pick your feet up in space, bending the knees, and then start to make these windshield wiper circles with your feet here. I always feel in my low back, this one feels so great, and then with my knees. And then lower down, we'll bring the palms to frame the pectorals, tuck your toes, inhale to the top of a plank or to a tabletop, and then shift it back into down dog. Find that engagement. On an inhale, lift your right leg up and back in space, and then scorpion tail. So drape your toes down over to the left. You're bending your knee and your heel is coming in towards your left sit bone. Your knee is lifting high and the front of your right hip bone is opening to the right wall. You want to feel that your left heel is pointing directly behind you. It's not swiveling to the left. Along with that, you're not sinking to your left shoulder. It's on level with your right. And on an exhale, we'll cross the right shin up to the top of the mat, making a 7 shape for Pigeon Pose. Awesome. Start to come onto your knuckles or your fingers or your palms. And then check that the right knee is to the outside of the right hand when you press up to your hand. Take that gaze back across your left shoulder and back your left foot up a little bit. The top of the foot is to the ground. And from here, we're going to explore taking the weight of the body onto the legs. You could have your hands to your hips. They might come right back down. They might need to stay right to the ground. That's totally fine. If you're feeling like you've got it, we can start to take the right hand down to the ground. I'm going to use my fist. And then bend the left knee so you roll onto the soft tissue at the end of the thigh, right above the kneecap. And then that left hand is going and grabbing the inside arch of the foot and pulling forward. You can leave the right hand to the ground or lift it up. And that back foot is gently kicking back as you're pulling against it with your arm, so a little counterbalance back behind you. Wherever you're at, we'll grab the last couple rounds of breath. And as you get down to the end of the breath that you're on, we'll start just to take this into our humble pigeon, where you're folding forward, bringing it down onto your forearms, and then the head down to your hands, a block or to the ground. You could have the top of your right foot or the side of the right foot to the floor. And then you can have your right shin more parallel to the top of the mat for more intensity, or angle it away. One of the things to check with pigeon is that you're not dropping into your right sit bone, so your hips are going this way, or that you're not dropping to the other side as well, to the left. You want to feel that your hips are up in space and they're on the same level with one another, coming over that folded right leg. Nice breathing, friends. Pigeon is a great stretch for that right hip. Then just press up to your hands, and we're going to take it down to our right sit bone and bring our legs forward in space. Once you got your legs out in front of you, just give a little roll out through your ankles. Leave your right leg extended, and then bring the left foot to the inside of your right thigh like tree pose. Find the front edge of your sit bones, and then take the right hand out from your right hip and back a little bit to press into. Engage your right foot, so let the heel press down and forward, toes flex back, a little bend into the knee. Inhale, the left arm reaches up, and on your exhale, hinge out from the hips and connect to the outside of your ankle or to the outside of your foot. You want to have the gaze start to go down in space. And then feel that left leg is pressing down and back, so it's helping to extend your spine forward in space. Nice breathing. And looking for those places you can use that air to come in, fill up, and on that exhale, release and just ride a little bit deeper. Get down to the end of the breath. And on your inhale, reach your arms tall up in space. Breathe in. As you exhale, take the hands down into your heart center. Release the left leg out in front of you. Come back up into our boats. Cross your ankles, rock forward, plant the hands, and you're going to move into your down dog. Once you've got your down dog in place, inhale your left leg back up, three-legged down dog, and then open the hip and bend the knee to your scorpion tail. So keep the right foot, keep the right arm, left arm nice and strong, shoulders nice and balanced. And then let that left knee lift tall, front of your left hip bone open to face the left, and then bend through your knee, bring that heel in towards those sit bones. On an exhale, we're going to cross up into our pigeon, so you make that 7 shape with your legs. And then we're into the fingertips or into your palms. And set it up off the bat that as you press into your hands, your left knee is to the outside of your left hand. So your heel is going to be closer over to center, right? And then take your gaze back over your right shoulder, walk your right foot back a little bit, and we'll start to play with lifting the body up onto the legs. Hands can be to your hips, low back. Maybe they're staying right to the ground. Maybe you've got a block on level 3 and you're pressing into the block, lifting up. For that bind, we start to root the left hand to the ground. Again, I'm going to use my fist. And then you're bending the right knee. You're off of the kneecap onto the soft tissue at the end of the thigh. You grab the inside arch of the foot with your right hand, and then you engage. It kicks back, pulls the arm taut, arm pulls against it, and you could counterweight with that left arm up in space. Wherever you're at, a few more rounds of breath. Slowly lower down. Walk down into your humble pigeon. Bring the forearms to the ground and weight of your head to your hands or to a block or to the floor. Beautiful breathing. Almost there, friends. Almost there. Stay with that breath. And then press up to your fingertips. Lift your chest up tall. We're going to drop the weight down into your left sit bone, swing your legs forward in space, and then give a nice roll out through your ankles. Move through your toes. You'll leave your left leg extended out in front of you, and then bring the right foot to the inside of your left thigh, kind of like tree pose. Find the front edge of those sit bones, and then take the left hand out from your left hip and back a little bit to press into. Your left heel is pointing down and forward. You're engaged in that left foot. So think about the toes flexing back in towards the shin, slight bend in that left knee. Inhale to reach your right arm up tall in space. Breathe in. And as you exhale, hinge out from the hips and connect to the outside of the leg or to the outside of your foot. Your gaze goes down to the ground and the crown of the head is reaching forward. Your right knee is pressing down and back in space. And feel that engagement and use your breathing. Looking where the top of your breath is, looking where the bottom of your breath is. Nice, last couple rounds of breath. On an inhale, reach the arms wide and tall, lengthen up, breathe in. And as you exhale, take your hands down to your heart center. You can release the right leg out in front of you. And we're going to do the rest of class on our back. So as you're ready, just lower down to your back. Draw the knees into your chest. Release the weight of your head. And then just take a slow rock side to side. One of my favorites is to cross your ankles, take your hands on top of your kneecaps, and then just draw some slow circles with your knees in space. And what you're doing is you're just circling out between your low back and your hips. You can move clockwise or you can move counterclockwise as it feels good to you. And then for bridge pose, bring your feet to the floor at hip bone distance. Reach your arms down along your sides and step your heels back into you until your fingertips can brush against your heels. From here, we'll press down into the triceps, so elbows bend at 90, and then reach the hips up tall in space. Bring your shoulder blades a little closer in towards one another. You can leave your arms like they are or interlace your fingers at the knuckles, extend your knuckles towards the heels, rolling onto the outsides of your biceps, and then just pressing to the feet, lifting through the hips. Feel like you're in all four corners of your feet, so you're not rolling onto the outside edge. You're nice and rooted, and we're stabilizing those knees. Weight of the head just remains relaxed. I think the last couple rounds of breath. And then slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, roll down to the ground. When your hips land, just draw the knees into your chest and then take your peace sign fingers to your big toes and open the knees wide for happy baby. The palms are facing one another. The hooks of those peace sign fingers are around the big toes. And then the feet are pointing up in space. The bottoms of your feet are pointing up in space. Ankles are above your knees. And then you're pulling down on the frame and just slowly rocking the weight of the body side to side. As you pull down on your frame, it can feel great to try to get your low back close into the ground. Just extend your left leg flat out in front of you. Hug the hands around the right shin and bring the right knee up towards the right shoulder. Feel a nice stretch here as you reach out through your left heel and pull the knee up in space. Get all the way down to the end of the breath, squeezing into it. And then we'll go into a spinal twist, letting your left hand pull your right knee down into the left, rolling out of the outside edge of your left hip, and then reaching your right arm to the right and taking your gaze out over your right fingertips. Your right shoulder is coming closer down towards the floor on this side. And use those exhales to really just relax out through your body. Let your body release and open up into this. And then roll onto your back. We'll switch things out. So this time you can extend the right leg all the way flat out in front of you. And then take your hands, wrap around, interlace around that left shin. And as you press your right heel down and forward, lengthening the right leg, pull your left knee up towards your left shoulder and more to the outside of that left rib cage. So deep breath into it. And when the exhale comes, you're going to come all the way down to empty. Hold the knee in nice and close. And then let your right hand pull your left knee down over to the right. Roll onto the outside edge of your right hip. Extend your left arm to the left and take your gaze out across your left fingertips. Let that left shoulder release towards the ground. And as you let the breath snake its way through your spine, so through this twist, again, let those exhales really relax you into it. Let the weight of the body release into it. When you're feeling complete on both sides, just roll onto your back, bring your knees into your chest, and give yourself one more little rock out, massaging the hips, massaging the low back. And then from here, we're ready to move into our final resting pose, corpse posture, or in Sanskrit, Shavasana. Lengthening your legs out in front of you, let the weight of the feet relax open. Release your arms down at your sides and let the weight of the hands just release, the weight of the arms release. Close your eyes. And as you relax out through the weight of the head, you can let go of controlling your breath here and just allow the body to take back over on the breathing. We'll be here for a couple of minutes and I'll pull us out of this and end our session. So nice and slow, just start to bring some life back into your body. Moving through your fingers, through your toes. Take a full morning stretch, reaching your arms behind you, roll out your ankles, roll your wrists out. Deepen the breath. And then roll the weight onto your side into a fetal position. Curling up, relaxing. Take your air all the way down to empty. And then breathe into your low belly. Hold there to your mid-abdomen. Hold there to the chest and shoulders. Relax. Exhale, let it go. And press up to a comfortable cross-legged position or whatever pose you'd like to end class with. If you're choosing a cross-legged position, take the time to scoot to the front edge of your sit bones. And then with your hands into your legs, press down into the hands, inhale the spine up tall, lift the shoulder heads, and as you exhale, just roll the shoulder heads down away from the ears and the back, opening up through your posture, and just relax the weight of your arms. We'll end our class bringing the palms together in towards the heart center. And in the chakra philosophy, the heart wheel, right, is called Anahata. And this heart chakra, this is the place that we are processing our grief. This is the place we are processing our fear and our hate. And we are moving back into love. So friends, thank you for showing up on your mat and doing this work, doing your work. We need to continue to do it throughout the life and spread it out to the rest. The light in me greets and honors the light in you. Much love. Namaste. Right on, friends. Thanks so much for joining me for another class. If you'd like to make a donation for taking the class, I've got my Venmo ID in the description. And if not, no worries, it's my gift to you. Please hit like, hit subscribe, share the video. That helps me out a ton. Also, I am leading a yoga retreat with my friend Katie Shifkin to Costa Rica. The dates are August 1st through the 7th, 2021. And all the deets are up on my website, so oneloveyogapride.com. check it out. We'd love to have you join us. But yeah, take care of yourselves, and I will catch you next time. Much love.